How can I get on my page? I can't, huh?
I can share it to your page. I think that's what I'm gonna do
Sure.
right now. Yeah, I'm gonna look and see and make sure I am live on my page. I do believe that I am. Let me go see. Yeah, we're live. I see us on my page. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share it to your page. Uh, I'm gonna tag you. That's what I'm gonna do. All right, we are live on Facebook. Hey y'all. Hey everybody. We are live tonight. It's your girl Queen Denae, and I'm here with a very special guest, Coach Elissa B. Baby.
Hey,
We are
hello,
here to talk
hello,
about something
hello.
really important, you guys. We're here to talk about something very important, which is overcoming emotional abuse. I talked a little bit about this Sunday when I went live. I talked about emotional abuse, but I want you guys to hear from an expert. I want you guys to hear from somebody who talks about these things. This is what she does, okay? This is her specialty. So I don't want to do no whole lot of too much talking tonight. I really want to let the coach, coach us. You know what I'm saying? On this stuff that we need to know. So let us know, coach. Bring us into this.
Well. Hi, my name is Coach Elissa B, and I've been doing this since about 2013. I am, or I was, a 24-year survivor of domestic violence, and it took 10 years after that for me to uh, try to come to grips with what I had been through and how I had gotten out of it. And once that happened, an epiphany happened, and I was ready to stop being the victim and start being victorious. And I became just eager to this to love myself and learn how to love myself. And that's how I got on this journey of just self love, prevention before intervention, all of that stuff.
Oh, I like prevention before intervention. That's good. That is
Yeah.
really good. Expound on that a little bit. When you say prevention before intervention, what does that mean to a person that's just getting into this arena?
Prevention before intervention means that you can go to schools, you can go to other communities that have never been through this or don't know anything about this, and be able to share with them, these are the signs. This is what happens. This is how you do this, that. And some people get an epiphany like, wow, I've been in domestic violence, because a lot of people believe that it's just physical. They just really believe domestic violence is physical, and I've never had that happen to me.
Yes, and I think that is one of the biggest myths about domestic violence. I've heard people say before, well, he didn't hit me. He did a lot of things, but he
Right.
never put his hands on me. But I think that once we understand that there's so much more to it than physical abuse, I think a lot of people will
Right.
realize, oh, I've been in a domestic violence situation. Like you said, because a
Yes.
lot of people just don't know.
They don't. And I've had so many conversations with different women who is like, I would never, and I never went through this. And then I'll get around them and their mate, and I'm like, oh my God, they are stuck dead, snap dab in the middle of something that they don't even understand. And some people you can't even explain it to, because they'll still justify the actions. They will justify them. And of course, I got to take these glasses off until I got to read. But of course, when justifying the actions, we all um, kind of have to be lenient, I get what you say, or sympathetic or empathetic, because we were once in their shoes. So we have to kind of be more empathetic to their situation and not so judgmental in that situation.
Yeah, I think that that's very important. But I really love what you said about um, justifying. because sometimes I think that people don't want to be alone and don't want
Uh-huh.
to be away from the person that they love or infatuated with, and they will justify these things. We look at something that we saw recently in the media with women who were in the process of leaving. Now, all the women that got murdered recently, they weren't all in the process of leaving, but a good number of them were in the process of leaving their relationship when they lost their lives.
And I think that, not I think, statistics state that that is the the most dangerous part in domestic violence, is trying to leave. And a lot of people ask why you don't leave. Well, we can't ask them why they don't leave. We can't even ask them why they keep going back, or even why they stay. We just have to say, we're here to help you when you need it. And what can I do to help if you need it? Or are you ready? Because a lot of times they are not ready. And it's not, we want to be ready for them. And we pray and hope that they get out before anything tragic happens. But they have to want it for themselves. They got to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. They got to say, enough is enough. I'm not doing this no more. And I don't care what I got to lose to gain, but I'm going, going, going. You got to leave everything behind sometimes.
Yes.
And that's a lot of why people stay too. I want to hold on to my things. Well, those things will be here and you will be gone. We have to, but we are not thinking straight. Literally, when you're in a domestic violence situation, somebody is thinking for you.
Yes, that is a fact. I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask you, in the case of the former lieutenant governor of Virginia that murdered his wife while his children were in the home, it is my understanding that she had a court order and he was supposed to leave that home by the end of April. Now,
Right.
according to what I've seen online, I have not verified this or confirmed this. According to that, she would not have been allowed to keep possession of the home if she would have left the home. Now, I don't know how
Right.
true that is, but I saw people saying that. But I really believe that sometimes you got to be willing, like you said, to leave it all behind.
Le- But see, the thing is, what happened in that, if I read correctly, he had lost everything, and they were
Yeah.
still cohabiting, not co, they were still living in the same home. And he had to be out or something by, I'm not sure, but I know that they were filing for divorce and things were moving forward, and he just could not handle that. And that the part that she was still striving and thriving, and he was struggling to get on his feet. He didn't have. I don't think they said he lost $400,000 in. He was a lawyer or an attorney or something, and all his business deals, all kind of things, just went plummeted. So I guess he was like, I ain't got nothing else to lose. I don't have nothing else to lose. And we look at those cases, and we don't understand. But it's just a form of not only just control, but also mental illness plays a big part in what's going on. Not giving it any glory and not saying that that is the reason, but we do have people out here who are literally living on edge because they're 1 foot in sanity and 1 foot out of sanity. And so,
Yes.
you know, we have homelessness going on, jobs ain't paying good, people are losing tremendously. I can just vouch for myself. I just moved here to Houston because I was losing tremendously in Baton Rouge. And had I stayed, I would probably today be on Skid Row somewhere looking for somewhere to stay because I was sinking and saying. And I had to make a conscious decision. But see, what I, in my mind, because I am healing and I have healed in a lot of places, is I don't let things worry me no more. And when it's time to go, I go and I look at signs and symptoms and all these things that come together. Just like I was supposed to go to California in May. Been having my ticket since last year,
Oh, wow.
but they canceled my flight 3 times and pushed it back, and this third time it was on the day of the event, and I was not going to be there on time to go to the event. So, and I wasn't going to get another ticket because that was too expensive.
Yeah.
So I just decided, you know what? This is too many signs for me. This is too many red flags for me. And that brings me to where we are. We have
Yeah.
red flags that we see before we even get in relationships. I was
Yes.
fighting me and my ex-husband was fighting before we got married. I had a black eye going down the aisle. He cheated on me. He gave me and the girl, the same year we got engaged, the same ring and the same balloons and flowers on that was on Valentine's Day, and me and him was married by April.
Wow.
Wow. Black eyes going down the aisle. My sister trying to pet and cover it up because a black eye go through 7 stages. So you got these rings around your eye, and you can't cover them up. They just don't cover up. I don't know what it is, but you can have the best makeup in the world. Somebody gonna notice that you have a black eye.
Yeah, that's true. So in those days, what can you say was the reason that you went through, even though you knew the signs? What were the reasons that you continued, or can
Well,
you
to back
can
it
you
up,
even recall?
yeah, to back it up, I was 14 when I got into my first relationship with a man who was older than I was. And that's where the abuse began. So at 14 years old, you're not old enough to make right decisions, right choices. To me, you make the most craziest decisions, but that started the cycle of abuse. And so I just jumped from one relationship to some another abusive relationship to another abusive relationship. I've never been in a healthy one. So my ex-husband was just another guy that, but basically I felt that he loved me because I was wild. I was wilding out. When I met my husband, I was wilding out. I was pregnant with my first daughter. Some things had transpired with that. That's a whole nother story. And when I met my ex-husband, um, we got together pretty quickly. And he literally raised my daughter from birth almost. So um, that was a lot. Um, but I felt like I owed him homage. He took me out the streets because I was in the streets. I was in them. You know, he took over and renamed my child and gave her his last name and married me and gave me a home, and we lived together. But I was literally the financier. I made the money first, but I was the mastermind behind him because he was a drug dealer. So I had to figure out a way for him to make enough money that made sense to him to be able to come out of the streets. That's what
Wow.
my thought was. So I did a resume, a bombshell resume for him, and his first job was a welder assistant, and he had never worked in his life.
Wow.
And he was making like at that time, that was in the 90s. He was making like $22 an hour, and I was in the military and making good money. So us young people together was making the money, but the jealousy and the control just could not go nowhere. It just could not leave his mind. Everything was so deranged and so, I'm just like, what makes you have these thoughts? But we'll get into mental illness after. You can ask me some more questions.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point that you make, because I've seen certain people saying, "Oh, mental illness is not an excuse. These men just evil. These men just get bad behavior." But I think there is a difference between bad behavior and mental illness. I really believe
There is a
there is a difference.
And another thing is the mental illness, a lot of times they don't have it. It's an onset from a drug that they've used. And
Mm,
they don't know that they're really messed up. They don't know that, even I can not come into defense because, my ex-husband was who he was, but I could see the mental illness way before then, and I had addressed it before. But the big onset didn't happen until he was in his 30s, and that was after the doctor had already said, you got to stop using drugs, because my husband, he became his own client, basically. And
wow.
so we began using drugs in my marriage. And in fact, my first year of marriage is when I found out that my ex-husband was literally a drug addict.
Mm. You know what I
First year
think?
of marriage.
I think, because I can speak for myself on this, I think that we as women, we are so nurturing. We are problem solvers. We are very loving. And when we see somebody having those type of issues, having those type of difficulties, we feel like somehow it's our duty to fix it. But I think this is one of the things that we have to teach women nowadays. As my opinion is that that's not your problem.
That's his issues are not yours.
Yes.
You don't, you're not his mom. You're not his therapist. You're not his sister. You're not his girlfriend for sure. If you his wife, that's all you supposed to be. I mean, you can be those things, nurturing as far as supportive, but not as coming in trying to fix. You can't fix
Right.
him. No
Right.
fixing to you can't fix anybody. I'ma just
No,
say
you
that.
can't fix nobody.
You cannot do. It's no way you can. Those people have to want it themselves. In everything, even in domestic violence, when I tell people that, they say, no, what I'm telling you is you got to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. You got to say enough is enough. I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to wake up with my eyes hurting because I got black eyes, and one done been knocked out the socket, and the doctor done said it may not ever go back in the socket. I don't want to wake up with a bloody nose and knowing that I got fractures and broke breaks in my nose, and I can't even say nothing. I can't go to the doctor and say nothing because then they gonna know he abusing me. Can't tell him nothing because then he gonna get mad again. And we in this tug of war with our minds,
Yes.
because literally the mind has been manipulated,
Yes. Yes.
and
And
so
I think,
people don't. Manipulation is just a part of narcissism, but manipulation is so strong. If you know how to manipulate a person, you can manipulate them out of everything they have.
yes, you can. Yes, you can. And then for women, we're not just being manipulated or influenced by the relationship we're in. It's also society that tells women you're not valuable unless you're with a man, unless you're married, unless you're in a relationship. And so that makes, I feel like, especially in the years that you and I were coming up, that make you feel like, well, I can't really get out of this situation, because what am I after that? What if I'm not a wife? What am I if I'm not a mother? What if I'm not, you know, the woman of the house?
Right. And that's right. That's so true. That is so true, because I know I tell this story to people all the time. I can remember my grandmother making me stay inside and cook and say, ain't no man gonna want you if you don't know how to cook.
Yes.
And I'm like, am I only a cook for a man? A bed partner for a man? You know? But the thing is, in relationships, they'll talk you into staying, and then when you're ready to leave and they realize that you've been abused, they dog you out. They don't talk to the perpetrator or the person that's done it to you. It's you. Why do they uh uh, uh downplay and ostracize the female or the victim? I'm not going to say the female because it could be man, woman, in any type of genre there is. But why does the victim always be re-victimized by people saying, you, why you stay, you stupid, you dot, and that makes the victim say, well, shoot, if you feel me that way, I'm going home to my comfort. It may not be comfortable, but it's my house. I ain't at
Yes.
yours and you dog me out. I ain't at yours and you're not understanding my situation, because my
Yes.
situation was great. And people literally downsized that like it wasn't nothing. And I was
Yes.
literally fighting for my life almost every day of my life. At the age of 14 years old, what could I do? How could I change that? My mindset wasn't even big enough to even know how I even got into it. Just hot independence.
But I think
Just
that
hot.
that's the reason why our work right now is so important, because it's so many women of all ages that still in these situations, that still feel like their worth is tied to being with a man. Their worth is tied to
Yeah.
being in a relationship. I remember experiencing the same thing. My mother used to say, "Oh, don't climb the trees. You're gonna mess your legs up. Ain't gonna man gonna want you." And I used to be like, "I don't care. If I want to play outside, if I want to climb this tree, I don't care if a man gonna want me to." I just, it used to really upset me because I felt the same way you did. Like, am I only worth a man wanting me?
Yes.
Like, I don't care. Because in my mind, I used to feel like, well, if he don't want me, I don't want him. You know?
Right.
Why I gotta
And
change
right.
my life for some man to want me? But
Want me.
and that's how I felt as a child. But over the years, I felt the pressure just like most people feel, that, you know, I gotta be in a relationship. I'm not worthy if I don't have a man. People always used to say to me, like I see them saying about Megan Thee Stallion, she can't keep a man. But what they didn't understand is I don't keep nothing that I don't want.
Don't
So when I
want.
get to the point where
And
I
don't
didn't want
want
the
me
man, I didn't want the
or don't want me.
relationship, or don't want me. Exactly.
And see,
Exactly.
we as women don't like rejection, and we'll do all kind of things to keep a man. Keep a man, not the not keep a relationship, because he ain't a man if he's not contributing to the relationship in a positive manner, to me. Because I feel that,
Right.
just like you say, emotional abuse is cheating. You are emotionally
Yes.
wrecking every time I catch you, every time I know it, every time I feel it and know that it's really happening. You don't care, and some of them don't even care. They cheat and they know you ain't going nowhere. They'll even bring them around other people and knowing it's gonna get back to you, but they know, oh, I'll handle that when I get home. She'll be all
Yes.
right.
Yes. I have experienced that. I have experienced it, and I think the older I get, the more I just don't give a damn. I haven't been in a relationship since 2017. 2017. And I haven't been intimate with a man since 20, goddamn, I want to say 2023. I have a booty call, but I'm at the point in my life. I'm at the point in my life where I'm not gonna deal with no mess from nobody. You're not gonna stress me. You're not gonna abuse me. You're not going to belittle me. And another thing you're not gonna do, you're not gonna distract me from my life's goals and my life's purpose. You're not gonna do that.
And
And I feel like that's another form of emotional abuse.
it is. It is. And see, when I get it, I'm about at the same boat you are, because I'm going into my fourth year of celibacy, but I had or abstinence. But I had different stints of that throughout being divorced, because I think it made 16 years that I've been divorced. This April the 24th was 16 years, and we had been separated for about a year or so or something. And so I just kind of wanted to tiptoe through relationships and friendships, and trying to find who I was. And I ain't gonna lie, when I first came out, timid, didn't want to be bothered with nobody, and then I met this one guy, and kind of messed around with him and found out he was married. This was in Baton Rouge. And then I moved to Houston, and I met this other guy, and I literally thought this other guy was dating this girl, but I didn't know he was married to her until like maybe a couple of weeks in. And I could have cut it off short then, but I was lonely. I had just moved here. He was good company, and I kind of dated him for a while. And then my conscience got the best of me, and I just couldn't do it no more, because I was like, even though they live on a whole nother side of town, this woman never find out about me. Texas is a faster city than Louisiana. So my mindset was, I cannot do this. This is not right. It ain't working. I want my own man, and I want to be able, I want
Yes.
him to come home to me, and I'm out here paying bills and struggling, and he trying to keep up with whatever, because he had just got back into driving trucks or whatever. And it was just so much of stuff until I had to let that go. And then for about 2 or 3 years in the middle of, well, before that, Malaysia must have been 5, so I had been celibate for about 5 years. And then I met him, and I call it losing my virginity, and so I lost my virginity again, and then that broke up, and I moved back to Louisiana, and I was celibate for years. And then kind of had some little dates here and there, but for the last
Yeah.
4 years trying to get my mind right all over again. And I don't have time for the okie doke. I ain't got time for all of this playing with my mind, because I got too much to lose right now. With the age I'm at, I don't have time for games. And one thing about it, and two things for sure, these relationships that's out here right now, they scaring me, because you don't know what you're getting.
That's right. That's right. It's a roll of the dice. It's like playing Russian roulette. Shoot, you better be
Yes,
careful out here nowadays. You're right. You don't know what you're getting. For me, I feel like I don't want to blame social media, but I think that overexposure sometimes to people. I don't know what it is, but people have gotten out of knowing how to be in a real relationship anyway. If you ever go on a date in the modern world we live in right now, I'm just gonna talk real how I really feel about it.
uh-huh.
These niggas won't they don't want to give up nothing. They want to take
No.
everything. All they want to do is take, take, take. What can you do, and what can you give me, and where you gonna be at? How much time you got for me? It's like, sir, what you got going on? To where you are
Right.
coming into my area, into my space, trying to take, take, take. What is you offering? Who are you as a person? Do you have
Right.
anything going on in your life? Because if you don't, go and sit down somewhere or go get somebody and pay for the coochie. Do
But you know
something.
what the problem is, they say women are broken, but men are really broken. Men are broken. They come in a broken state, and they expect the woman to fix them, and they expect her to be perfect.
Yes.
And when she's
Yes.
perfect, they don't like you, or they find things wrong with you, or it's an argument, or it's abuse, or it's misuse of whatever appropriate terms you want to call it. And then it gets toxic, because his
Yes.
expectation was you was gonna come in and take care of him like his mama did.
You got me fucked up. The thing that be tripping me out is how they would.
Yes.
What I'm seeing now in a lot of men is they want to come in critiquing you. And that's why I stopped dating, because it's like, I like you, but I feel like you wear too much makeup. I like you, but I feel like you do too much. You sing, you do the podcast. I mean, you doing too much. My thing is, who told you that your job was to critique anything that I'm doing? Who told you that my life got anything to do with you? Until I include you. If I don't include you,
And
whatever I choose to do with my life has nothing to do with you.
thank you very much. Thank you
You
very
know,
much. And
where did
this
this come
men
from?
right now, I don't have time for it because the thing is, they want to be pampered. They want things. I was just talking about this teaching at the school this week. This is a microwavable Burger King society, which equals narcissistic society or narcissism, because we want to have it our way, and if it don't go our way, then it's our way or the highway. And uh, we ain't taking. Oh, I can't do this, and I gonna do that, and you better do this, and I gotta have it this way, and it got to be this way, and if it ain't this way, I don't want it. Well, baby, you just don't want it. It ain't
Yes,
gonna be just the way and it's gonna come in a package that you might not even, you're gonna miss the mark because you're too doggone worried about all these other things, these distractions, and not looking at the big picture. Most of these men lose
absolutely.
out on good because they want to be this macho, have this macho image, and they got to show their friends they the man, and they got to do this and do that. And somewhere along the line, somebody broke them in half, and now they trying to mend themselves back together by proving something to themselves and their peers. Because men, to me, never grow up.
A
They just
lot of
don't.
times they don't. A lot of times they don't, because who's forcing them to? Society doesn't force them to grow up. We got a president in the White House right now who's a big ass baby. He's always throwing tantrum. He's always acting like a child. So if a man can act like that and become president, then we doomed. We doomed. We cooked,
Exactly.
as the kids say. We
And the thing
cooked.
is, our children are our future, and they're looking to us, but society is telling them all this. All you got to do is have a temper tantrum and everything will be okay, and you'll get what you want. All you got to do is go shoot up something and you'll make them know that you the boss. All you got to do is do this and do that. Nah, man. Y'all are really teaching these people how to be tyrants, how to grow up and think that the world owes them something. And that's how a lot of people end up on Skid Row, because they don't want nobody to tell them nothing. My grandmother used to say, you don't believe that Christ rode a jackass because you didn't ride with him.
I like that.
Because you didn't ride with him. But I'm here to tell you, he wrote one. He rode one. And you got to believe that he rode one. And you got to believe that when you inside of any type of emotional relationship that causing you a lot of heartache and pain, you got to find a way of escaping. You got to get out. If it's a safety plan, if you got to escape in the middle of the night or while they going to work, if you don't, you got to do something. Because
Yes, yes,
emotional abuse, to me, I've realized that emotional abuse is worse than physical abuse. If you get out of if they don't hit you, you or intimidate you in no kind of way to where you feel like you're threatened, you'll never even understand it other than calling you out your name. I mean, okay, he called me out my name. But baby, that is to the point to where he is killing you on the inside. That's worse than being dead. Because you're walking
yes, it
around
is.
here dead.
Yes, it is. Yes,
You
it
are
is. That is
broke.
that is definitely worse than
You
being
are
dead.
dead. It is.
Hey,
I'm
B
telling
Love.
you, it's worse. I know it's worse. I It's 42 years later from the age of 14 when I started, and I still have issues. I still go through stuff. It's been 18, almost eight, well, really almost 18 years, or is 18 years since um I've been out of it, but I still have triggers and traumas. I still go through emotional battles. I still fight in my mind with different things that may come and may arise or may pull or scratch the surface or pull the scab off of something. You don't know your triggers and your traumas until something happens and it teaches you that, oh, this is something that triggers me. Let me see how I can channel that to where I don't have to feel this anymore. We are
Right.
constantly learning ourselves and our bodies every day. I'm not a fly by night, sorry to say it that way because I hate to be a statistic, but I ain't no fly by night domestic violence victim. I was in it for 24 years. So things are going to arise and going to make my stomach quiver. I'm going to have anxiety sometimes when things go wrong. Not that I'm trying to have it, and I fight it off as much as possible, and the nausea and all of that stuff that come along with it. But what they fail to realize is you don't know your triggers and traumas till they hit your front door.
That's right. That is exactly right. That is exactly right. And I really love what you said about that, because people, this is something I wanted to get into when talking about women and overcoming emotional abuse and domestic violence. I believe that when you are a survivor or you've been through anything like that, you do not go into the next situation telling them about the last one. Because unfortunately, a lot of these niggas is taking notes and they thinking, oh, I'm going to do the same thing she said he did. Because if she stayed with him for 20 years, then she'll at least give me 3. She'll at least give me 2 or 3 years. So I'm going to start doing the same stuff. And I think that people have to be aware that everybody that want to be with you is not for you. They want
They're
to be
not.
with you. That don't mean they for you.
That is so true. And, if I just look at the past relationships that I've had since I left my husband, or my ex-husband, and divorced him, um, most of them I met through social media, so they know my story. And so,
Yes,
the devil in every shape and size, and it's gonna be the same devil.
that's right.
He gonna come with a different, but it's gonna all fall in line with the same things. The same tactics, just different packaging. And so meeting them, and you saying that, I have been praying, God, let me meet a man that don't know me, ain't been on my social media page, don't know nothing about me. I can meet him, he can ask me what I am. I'm a counselor. How did you get into it? Experience. I don't have to
And
go into detail.
I understand what you're saying because we speak about it. So I feel like it's a little different for us because we're advocates now. We're not just talking about it to talk about it. We're talking about it because it's now part of our work. So we're
Yeah.
advocates. So of course they're going to learn that we've been through some abusive relationships. But my thing is, along with you knowing that, also know that at this point in my life, I'm also packing. I'm packing.
Right.
And I got a good aim. You need to know that too. And that I don't play. And that
Right.
I will burn a bridge just so you know I still can swim. I ain't scared to
Right.
lose nothing.
Been
I
there,
ain't
done
scared to
that.
lose
Got
nothing.
me. And that's been my part with me. I don't want to keep having to start over, and I don't want to have to feel bad or argue, or I don't want to have to get up if I don't want to have to get up. Just different things that have made me feel like, okay, I just need to stay single because I don't want to go into a relationship with the wrong motives and agendas. And that's not going to end well either, because the whole thing would be an emotional challenge for them. And also, like you say, emotional abuse. If I go into something for a different reason than that person, then I'm doing the same thing that happened to me. I'm emotionally abusing them for my selfish gain, for what I want. So I was like, God, if it ain't for me, I'm okay. I'm okay because I can take care of myself. I'm
Yes.
okay with that.
And
Do
I'm
I
at
want to take
peace.
care of, but I'm at peace. I want to be at peace. And if I'm at peace, I am okay. And I can sit in my house every
Yes.
day without one TV on. It don't matter
Yes.
because I love who I am. I love my own company and I can spend time with me, my alone time.
Absolutely.
That's a part of the rejuvenation of it all. I want to call it. Yes, it's the fact that yes, I've been through those things. Yes, they were hard. Yes, I'm still going through some traumatic things, but I know how to channel them now. I'm educated on different things to where even if I don't know how, I know how to go and research and find out. Let me see how I can help myself through this because sometimes you have to talk yourself through it because you could go to other people, even pay a counselor, and they'll never get to where they're going because you're stuck somewhere. So I had to find out my triggers in certain areas in order for me to get out of some things that I was going through because nobody could really get through to me. So I started getting into the education realm. I started reading and researching and writing and getting interested in educational materials to be able to teach and to be able to give back and to be able to serve well because you can't serve well if you don't know what you're talking about. And sometimes God will give you the what you think that, oh my God, why me? But why not you? Because you might be the very person that he needs to walk through and open up the Red Sea so that these people can come
Yes.
through. Because a lot of us are stuck like those children of Israel walking in a round circle for 40 years, like us
Yes.
42 years was the same issues that where we going through now. It's still a silent killer. 42 years later, we still going back and forth. We still trying to figure it out. We still fighting with each other. Organizations fighting against each other. Representative against representative. Even I'm gonna go a little bit further and say churches against churches. And something that happened to me today, and God knows I'm not telling no lie. God showed me because there's some I don't know if you saw it, but in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, they had a mass shooting a couple of days ago at the mall.
Yes, I
Okay,
saw it.
and then today they had a shooting of someone who is prominent in the rap world, in the rap society. And so I get this thing across my page that says it's about to be a bloodbath in Baton Rouge because of this guy getting killed. So they telling people to watch themselves because bullets gonna be flying from everywhere because people just gonna be shooting and shooting from wherever. You don't even know if you leave out your house today if you're gonna make it home. That's anywhere, but Baton Rouge is a small city. It's smaller than Texas, so everybody is kind of you can get around Baton Rouge in about an hour and 15 minutes. You could drive the whole Baton Rouge and go home and undress and be sitting down. So it's very crazy right now. But God showed me something not even about 3 hours ago. He said, if my people, and I was taking it as if my people as everybody in the community. Of course, that's what he means. But at this appointed time when he was talking to me today, um, he was saying that the churches have to come together because churches are warring with each other. Pastors are
Yes.
secretly warring with each other. We don't know it because they keep it in the church world, but all the other people know it. Them skeletons got to come out the closet. Every man, woman, child that's sitting in the church on the front pews thinking that they poop don't stink. I want to serve you notice today, baby. God coming for a spotless church. You better go look in the mirror and check yourself before you wreck yourself.
I know that's
It is
right.
time. that we go into these churches, we need to have education on every aspect of it. When they say the fivefold ministry means that you're supposed to have some teachers, which means that
Yes.
you need to be educated not only by your pastor, because your pastor, and not only through a Bible study and church on Sundays. You need to be well versed on different subjects. The church is supposed to have everything within itself to be able to contain itself if in need, that everybody had to come together. Every man, woman, child, with whatever purpose that they have, is supposed to
That's
come
right.
intertwine together to make up the whole body. And that's why we are not the same. Because if he had made everybody the same, then we couldn't connect as a puzzle and make a build a united foundation that is with it is in all shapes, forms, and sizes, comes with every color, every background, every culture, every
Yes.
religion. We wouldn't have that. If he wanted us to all look the same, be the same, have the same, do the same, then we would be around here looking like what I'm talking about. Why are you looking at me? Because we be looking at each other and looking just the same. He don't want
Right.
us to look the same. It's time out for that.
Yes.
It's time
You're
out.
right about that.
We are out here fighting amongst each other. Our friends fighting against friends, jealous friends fighting against jealous friends. You jealous? Why are you my friend if you jealous of me? And
Come
sometimes your
on.
friend be having more than you, and they be jealous of you.
Because they're not your friend. And it's a lot, it's sad because I don't believe most people even know what that means anymore. What does it mean to be a friend? What does it mean to be a husband? What does it mean to be a wife? What does it mean to date someone? I think a lot of these meanings have been lost. They have been lost because if you are somebody's friend, you want to see them win. You want to see them excel. You want to see them happy. You're not hoping that things go wrong. And then when things go wrong, you want to say, "Oh, I knew that wasn't going to work. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. You was feeling too good about yourself. I knew that was going to happen." It's like what we see happening right now with Meg the Stallion. It's like people could not wait to get online and talk about this young lady who already been shot by a person that she thought was, a friend or whatever the hell he was. A girl, that young woman that does a lot of business, a businesswoman, an entertainer, a person that has lost both of her parents. And you got grown ass men that feel like they need to get online and talk about, well, that's what she get. Ain't no man gonna marry no hoe. When you know your motherfucking bald head ass mama was a hoe. Your daddy married her. So why do you want to get online and down this woman? I just feel like it's sad at this point that everybody is so eager to tear each other down, so eager to belittle and bring each other down. And what you talk about with the churches, it's like they in competition with each other. They can't take care of the members because they too busy trying to be the church. I want to be the biggest church. I want to have the most members. I want to be on
Yes,
TV. You know,
yes,
it's sad.
yes.
It's sad, but that's where we are right now. We are in a state where everybody is trying to be the biggest. The biggest. I need to be the
Right.
biggest. I need to be the best. I need to outdo you. And I think that's a lot of situations in relationships. You spoke about the lieutenant governor in Virginia, and the story was that he lost everything and his wife was still thriving. Okay, he's supposed to be happy. He's supposed to be saying, well, damn, at least somebody in the household bringing some money in. At least my kids gonna eat. You know, at least my
Right.
kids gonna be okay. But not in competition with her, mad at her, because now she's still doing good and you ain't. What is that? That's where we are right now, though.
Mhm.
That's where we are.
Yeah. We're the State of the Union. I wrote something the other day. I'm gonna have to read it. I was gonna come on and read that. But in the state of this union, people don't even realize that friendships can be domestic violence or abusive, and
Come
that's
on.
part of it. People don't realize that
Yes.
you can have elderly abuse. People don't realize that the LGBTQAI2 plus community is going through abusive things, and they don't want to come forward,
Yes.
because just like with Meg the Stallion, they always going to stereotype you, and they're going to ostracize the victim just because I'm black, just because I'm gay, just because I'm fat, just because I'm whatever it is, does not mean that I deserve what I'm getting. Just because
Oh,
I'm an old woman and I can't do nothing for myself. If you don't want to take care of me, don't abuse me.
that's
If
right,
you don't love me, go. If you don't love yourself, go find yourself and come back, and maybe we can talk. But right now,
baby.
I cannot. I'm not a fix a flat. I can't fix a flat, baby. I'm not. I can't do it. You are flat. Go and get you some ass somewhere, baby, because I am not her.
Yes. I'm not a fixer flat. I love that.
I,
I can't fix no flats.
I
Yes.
can't. But you gotta want to be inflated for yourself. David encouraged himself when nobody else was around, and when ain't nobody around me. I got to look in the mirror and say, God, you done did it for me once. I know you'll do it again.
Yes. Because whose experience are you more invested in? You should be most invested in your experience in your life. How am I experiencing my life? I don't want to experience my life in heartache all the damn time. I don't want to experience my life fighting with everybody around me, my friends, my spouse, my children, my employer. No. Who wants that type of experience? I am so, what do I say, diligent about my experience of my life. I am not willing to experience my life in a way that is constantly uncomfortable, constantly hurts. I don't want to experience my life that way. So I am determined that if you think you're going to come into my life and bring drama and bring any type of toxic spirits, anything that's going to
Right.
cause me to experience life in a way that I don't want to experience it, you got to go. And that's for
Got to go.
mother, father, sister, brother, friend, cousin, uncle, employer. That's for everybody.
Anybody could get it.
That's right.
Anybody. Because your mental health is most important. And what I taught on this week in the school was fly. First learn, I mean, first love yourself. And if you don't
Yes.
love yourself, then you'll never know what love really is, because intimate love starts with yourself. And then once you, and I didn't learn that, but at an early age, I'm just learning that I have to be intimate with myself, because I have to know thyself. I have to be aware of my things, of what I like and what I dislike. I
That's
have to
right there.
take accountability. I have to take accountability for all these things. I have to make sure that I have self care, and that I'm reliable to myself, and that I'm taking
Yes.
care of everything that I need to take care of. Because, see, I can't pour from an empty cup. I did that for so long until I got what? Dehydrated. You can't pour from an empty cup. And I teach too, you can't pour from a full cup, because that means that even if I pour anything out of it, I have to refill that cup. So if I can't
Woo!
give you from the overflow, I don't have it. I don't have to
Yes.
give.
I need to
That
give from the overflow. I can only give
I
from the overflow.
only come if this cup is flowing over, you can catch that. If
Yes.
my food is on the table and it's flowing over, you can catch the scraps from there. It might be
Come
the
on.
scraps, but it's anointing. I'm gonna let you know it's purpose in it. But the purpose
Yes.
is that I have to keep something for myself and be nurtured for myself, in order for me to even be able to sip from my own cup.
That's right.
I can't give you my cup. This is my cup. This is
Yes.
my lipstick, my
That's
bronzer
right.
on this cup. But what happens is, if I never touch the rim of this cup, but I just stay in my realm. When the overflow does happen, then you catch that overflow. I can give you from my overflow and not miss it. But I can't give you
Yes,
from my cup and think that I'm not gonna miss the fact that it's not filled to the rim.
that's
That I
right.
still have up for the what I gave you. Everything that I gave you, it cost me.
That's right.
It
And when
cost
it's
me.
gone, it's gone.
And
That's right. Especially my time. Especially
my
my
time
time.
on.
That's the
I
reason
have
why I
given you
say,
all of
how many of us have given years and years to people, to relationships, to
friendships.
organizations,
Yes, yes.
friendships?
See, that's what people fail to realize. Do you know that domestic violence is very broad? Because domestic means within your realm, within your community of things. So that means even
Yes.
at work, you could be go through some type of work violence that don't
Yes.
that very not. I mean, that's domestic violence because domestically you're in the same building with each other and you're being harassed, you're being hurt, ostracized, whatever it is. A friendship, you're in close
Yes.
proximity with them all the time. That's abuse when they misuse you and treat you any kind of way. Even with your
Yes.
children, back and forth, even with your boss, even with your next door neighbor. That's domestic because y'all are in the same close proximity. Domestic means in my area, in my circle of things. This is domestically. I pulled it up and it was saying, domestic could even mean, in within the United States. That's what it means when we say foreign or domestic. So we're a domestic state living together domestically. But then when you look at the whole picture, the people in your house and the people that surround you is your domestication. That's where you live, that's where you breathe, that's where you do everything. So with me, when I look at domestic violence, I look at it as friends. I look at it as people around me, surrounding me, with violence of any kind. Just saying with these people, these rivals and stuff. That's still a form of it's violence, but domestically, y'all be honest. You can't hang on my corner. I don't, we live we live on the same street, and neither one of our mamas own our house.
Mm, that's where we at right now.
But
That
that's
is
my
where we're
street.
at. But
That's
I
my
think
corner.
that the only hope that we can give is what you said earlier, is prevention before intervention. That's the only hope that we could give right now, is that a lot of this can be prevented. There are signs, there are signals, and then there are people who do learn how to act better, how to be better. I know that there are people who was raised in homes where they did a whole lot of fighting and arguing, and they didn't know any better. But once they knew better, they did better. So the only hope I feel like we could offer is a lot of this is preventable. And that's why we're here. That's why we're talking. That's the reason why we're going live, is because a lot of the things that we have seen in the media could have been prevented. And
And
it
not
is
just
preventable.
I say this: if we start teaching our children self-love at an early age, they will understand that when someone treats you bad, that's not acceptable, and they'll go on about their way instead of staying into things and trying to fix things because we saw mama fix it and daddy fix it and this person do this and do that. If prevention starts, I would say charity begins at home, and sometimes kids see it at home. So if they, even if you don't see the love at home, when they get out somewhere, teach the kids right from wrong. Tell them that it's not right to do this and that. You know, I just believe that prevention starts at there. I was listening to something the other day, and it was like, well, we shouldn't start talking about different things in the world to our children till they're about 7. Well, I would say in the Black poor community, at about 1 year old, kids have already experienced more than any other community.
Yes, that is a fact. That is a fact. And we know that our children grow up faster. So by 7 years old, they done seen a whole lot, experienced a whole lot, and been exposed to a whole lot. So I totally 100% agree with you on that. I feel like we lost Elissa B for a minute, and
Yeah,
hopefully her network connection is going to come back. But until it does, I'm going back to what we said, what I was saying before, is that all of this is prevented. The things that we have seen on, okay, she's back. The things that we have seen is preventable. So, yes,
yeah,
we lost you for a minute, but I love what you were saying. So, I want you
yeah.
to finish your thought. You were saying that in the Black community, it's not the same number because by the time a person is, they've experienced things at one.
Yes, kids have literally come out of the womb, parents fighting, losing parents. I'm not saying it don't happen in other communities, but okay, they heighten it so much online and on the TV that that we have to share that information is that we've seen within the last couple of weeks about 5 or 6 high profile domestic violence incidents. One happening here with the child who was found in the park, 8 months pregnant at 17, 18 years old. However, no life left, no nothing. Then we got the council Manette killed his wife and his children were at the home. Then we got the something mayor from Florida, the young girl who her husband killed her, and then we have the blogger or the influencer that went over in Zanzibar, wherever, and she was killed. And then there was another incident. I mean, I've been following
A
the incidents.
pastor, a female
Huh?
pastor.
Yes, a female pastor, her husband killed her, and he was a pastor himself. So we're watching this stuff unfold every day, all day long. This is not an October awareness thing. This is something that's happening just
Mm.
like a disease every day. Somebody is being abused every minute, every 9 seconds. Somebody is being abused. We have 1 out of 3 women who are being abused. I'm talking about domestic violence is not being weak. It's being stuck. It's being in a cycle of abuse, of misuse of somebody. It is in a place to where uh, um, you're so stuck until you don't even know how you got there and don't know how to get out of it. And people can ostracize you, they can minimize whatever it is, but until they go through it, they will never understand the complexities of domestic violence because it may look the same, but everybody's situation is different. Now,
Yes.
don't get me wrong, the tactics are all the same. The tactics are all the same, but the situations are look different.
Yes. I want to say before we wrap it up, because we already at an hour, but I do, there is something that I do want to address that made me think about, that is when we are learning and when we are teaching these classes and when people go to classes, I think we have to make it a little bit different for our community, because our community
Mhm.
experience things differently. Our community understand things differently, and something that might be a red flag in another community, it might just be normal to some people in
I'm
our
just
community. It ain't no red flag.
we
So
have to
I
share
think,
for kids.
yeah, so I think we have to talk about those things before we get off, because I want to say it specifically in relationships and what you said too, friendships. In a healthy environment, a lot of things that we think are normal are red flags.
Yes, they are. They are. They are.
Yeah, for instance, if you, I'm going to give an example of me. If you are a singer, or if you are a any type of creative, and your spouse knows that, and every chance they get, they are praising somebody else that do the same thing as you, but they don't say nothing about what you do. They're always giving attention to what somebody else do. That's a red flag. That's a
I
huge
get
red flag.
that's emotional and psychological abuse, basically, because
Yes,
what is trying to belittle me. You're trying to
right.
make me bad and building somebody else up in my face.
Yes. But the reason why I think it's not a red flag for some people is because sometimes their mama did it to them. Their daddy did it to them. They had that going on in their own home growing up. So to them, it ain't necessarily a red flag. It's just, oh, that's how things are. That's how people are.
Right.
And that's not true. That is a red flag. So we have to kind of almost re-educate people.
Hmm. Yes, and that's a part of it, Lisa. We have to get the education out. We have to get people informed, and it is hard in our neighborhoods because a lot of people don't come out. A lot of people don't want to acknowledge it, and the ones that's going through it definitely are not going to show up because their fiancés, boyfriends, husbands are not going to let them, or girlfriends, whichever the case may be, is not going to let them. So fear is another. Reason why they stay. One, and it's also a red flag because if you're scared or fearful of saying things or asking about things or knowing that if I say this or if I
Mm.
ask this, do this, they're gonna blow up, then that's a fear thing. That's a red flag that right there. If you're scared of your mate, baby, you got a problem.
Well, see, let's talk about that right there. Let's talk about that right there. How many of us was raised to believe that we supposed to be scared of our parents?
Really, and you're right.
We
You are
was raised
correct.
to believe, shoot, I'm scared of my mama, or I'm scared of my dad, and then you get in a relationship and you feel the same way. I'm scared of my husband. I don't want, and that's it. That's not the way you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to have to feel fear. Now, I don't want my children to be scared of me. I want them to know that I don't play no games and that I am the most dangerous person in this household. You need to know that, but you don't have to
Right,
walk around being scared of me.
right. That's what I tell my kids. I am the person that you could come to for anything, anything you need to talk to me about. I'm not going to, you need to tell me. You need to talk to me about it. You don't need to be shamed. Don't go tell nobody else. Come to me
But the
first.
sad part, I think the sad
Exactly.
part for us is that we're seeing the fact that some people have never had that. They haven't had it with their parents, they haven't had it with their friends, and they don't have it in their relationships. So they don't think
Hmm.
it's anything wrong with the fact that they don't have it. But I think our mission, I know for me, my mission is trying to get people to understand what you deserve, no matter what
Right.
you're used to, no matter what you know about. You have to learn what is it that you deserve, and you deserve to have people around you who love you, who acknowledge you, who uplift you and encourage you. And if you don't have that, you might as well be alone.
Yes. And people who appreciate you. That's
Yes,
a whole
value you.
nother red flag. If you're not appreciated, baby, that's a whole nother emotional red flag. That's a
Yes,
red
it
flag. I'm
is.
appreciated.
And sometimes you got to train people. You got to train them on how they need to show their appreciation. Some people just don't know. Sometimes you gotta train them.
That's why when you were saying earlier in the beginning, I wanted to touch on that. Um, when I go through a relationship now that I'm older, I explain to them that I'm not taking the bull crap. So we're going to be adults in this situation. And if we can't be adults in this situation, once we remove ourselves permanently. That means don't come back to me because I'm not moving backwards, I'm moving forward. I wanted to
Yes.
build the life with you, and that's not what you wanted. So at this point in time, the best thing for me to do is cut and sever all ties. That means social media, that means phone calls stop, that means meetings stop, that means sleeping with you stop, that means any type of communication should be cut off, because there should not be all of this going on when we are too old to be. I mean, there's such thing as, okay, we date to see if this person is for us, but I'm talking disrespectful wise. Once it gets to a disrespect, it's no coming back from that. There's
Sure
no.
am.
We can have a mutual agreement to break up and just be friends, and I'm cool with that. But when you start
Yes.
disrespecting me and saying things and calling me out my name, and you know, and one thing that I learned that is a trigger for me is for you to curse me.
Mm.
That is the biggest trigger for me. Is for someone to curse me. Don't
Ooh.
curse. I'm not gonna curse you. I'm not.
Ooh.
I say a lot of things, eat people up with my words, and I don't have to say one curse word.
See, I'm gonna have to say ouch on that one because that is a big habit of mine. I'm a cusser, but you do have to know your triggers, and you do
Yes,
have to communicate that to people. You know, you have
right,
to tell people, look, I don't like, because I have a trigger too. I don't like to be yelled at. Do not raise your voice. When a person raises their voice at me, it's on. It is on and popping. Because to me, if I didn't raise my voice, why are you raising yours?
right.
So I
And
do agree with you that at our age, we should be able to explain our triggers and have somebody who understands, like I said, train you on my program. Because now you come into my life, I got a whole program over here. So this
we
is
do
how my
too.
program runs. You know,
Right,
I'm going to give you an orientation. And then you can also orientate me on your program if you have one.
right.
And then we need
Yes.
to see if there's those two programs can come into one. But if they can't, it's like you said, you carry
Let it
on.
go. Let it go. Because we don't own each other, and we're
No.
all just trying
Whew.
and trying to put puzzles together with relationships, and some work, some don't, but it doesn't mean that you have to stay bound to that relationship because it's not working. You don't That does not mean that you gotta hate that person because it's not working. If you're a mature adult, you both can come to an agreement to disagree. You can also come to an agreement and say this is not working, as relationship wise. you know but let's revisit maybe friendship, or maybe let's just kind of sever this for right now, and then if we come back to the table and whatever. But sometimes it causes for maturity to happen, for people to come together, and maybe y'all are meant to be, but not at this point in time. So
Yes.
we have to be mature about relationships, and knowing when to hold them, when to fold them, when to walk away, and when to run.
Yes. Yes. You know, I thank you so much for this conversation. I really want us to do this again, especially based on something that you said when you said we don't own each other. That made me think about how different I was when I was young. Because when I was young in my first marriage, I thought we did. I thought we were supposed to take ownership, and I thought, he's supposed to tell me how he liked me to wear my hair, how he liked me to dress, how he like. I
Right.
really believed that. I believed it, and
Me
and
too.
that's the reason why it didn't work.
Me too. Because you was everything for him and nothing for yourself.
Come on now, and was looking like Raggedy Ann, looking raggedy. Because this nigga want me to look raggedy. And here I am thinking, well, I am his wife. So if he wants me to, dress down, mm-mm.
Girl, we be so lost. We be so lost. But I'm so glad I done found my way, and I understand what relationships really require. And I, at this point, am not willing to give my all, because I'm giving my all. to what I'm doing. And you know, if God decides to visit me with a mate, I'll visit that and you know revisit that when it gets to that point. But right now, I am so you know wrapped up in all this domestic violence and this violence that's going around the world. But I just wanted to share with them that if you are in a domestic violence relationship right now, and you can and you're safe right now, and you want to leave, you can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. If you if you can't call and you can just text, you can text START to 88788. START, START in caps to 88788, or you can chat on the hotline.org. And I just want to tell you about the hotline.org. When you go on there, if someone walks in the room, they have a button that you can press and it takes you directly out of what you were in. So that is some safe ways to do it. And if you ever decide to leave, make sure that you have your safety plan in place, because it is not easy to leave. A lot of people think that it's easy to just walk out that door when you get ready. But when you're dealing with
Yes.
someone who is aggressive, who's controlling, who's manipulative, who's mean, who's hateful, who beats on you, who abuses you, it's not easy to just walk out that door and say, I'm not coming back, because that is the most dangerous time for anybody in a domestic violence relationship is when they're leaving. So we ask people to just be lenient with them, be as patient as you can with them, pray for them, because until they want out, they're not going to leave, no matter how much you want them to, how much you beg them to, how much you talk about them, put them down. In fact, putting them down pushes them back out. So please
Yes.
get educated on domestic violence, so that the next time that you have to uh, visit this situation, because there will be a next time, because it's 1 out of 3 women, and it's somebody in your family. It could be your mama, your grandma, somebody. But when they come to you, you'll have an answer for them. You'll be able to tell them something. I mean, it doesn't take a lot. But I, of course, you know, I have my books out there now. Yes, I do. I can run and get one right quick. Can I run and get my books right quick?
Yes, yes. And while she's getting her book, remember the hotline.org. If you need help, if you need assistance leaving a domestic violence relationship, she also gave the information for the National Domestic Violence organization, and I'm going to find that information while we're online. The
Go
National
in,
Domestic Violence Hotline, so that we could put it on the screen for you. Okay.
go to the National uh, Coalition Against Domestic Violence, ncadv.org, I think is what it is. And they have a lot of resources on there as well, y'all. I use that for a lot of my educational purposes too. They send out little news, little write ups about different things that deal with domestic violence. You would be amazed
Yes.
at the different things that domestic violence is, because as I stated, I went to get 2 of my books. In fact, I have about 5 books on Amazon, so you can find them under Elissa Boudreau. But
All
these two
right.
books of Domestic Violence Out Loud 1 and Domestic Violence Out Loud 2. When I wrote this book, I was just really looking for, I would say, a diary for everybody, not a diary, a dictionary for everybody's home, because this one book right here, will give you like the basic jargon and give you more insight and information on what domestic violence is. It'll put your foot in the door with domestic violence, and you'll kind of get to know some things. And they have like a little short story in here that kind of gives you some information and insight on what domestic violence is and how it really operates in situations. So it has that also. So Forbidden Love 1 was written out the heart and out the strength of everybody needs this book in their house. Everybody needs to know about domestic violence. So you can either get them from me or you can get them from Amazon. That is book 1. In book 2, on last year, I went through a lot last year. And in doing so, God kind of took me in. I had no car, I had nowhere to go. And I watched the entire Diddy trial. Once watching that trial, and while watching that trial, I wrote down so many notes. And I went back and I wrote this book. And this book is based on the alleged things that were said throughout the entire court case. It has so many different topics in here. I can just tell you the first topic in here. Okay, so the first topic in Forbidden Love 1 is the broken man, the bad boy. We look for the
Okay.
bad, always the broken man and the bad boy. That's in volume 1. In
Okay.
volume 2, the first thing we talk about is coercion and control in domestic violence. We talk about different things that domestic violence is, and we talk about empaths, and we talk about um, all of the different things, behavior analysis of a domestic violence victim and perpetrator. They talk about the victim's behavior, and they talked about the victim's complexity of survival, and the complex decision to return to the abuser, and all of those things that come into play with being with a domestic violence um, perpetrator. And book understanding why they stay in the relationships. This book kind of gives you an insight because a lot of people question different things. Understanding the trauma of a child living in domestic violence home, and an in-depth commentary and analysis. This book has all kind of stuff in it. This book talks about personality disorders, cycles of abuse, borderline personality disorder, and dissociative identity disorder. These were things that they talked about in the Diddy trial, defining sociopath. They talked about
Wow.
sociopaths, and they talked about the perpetrator uh, versus the victim, and the bipolar disorder and the schizophrenia disorders. I got all of this from this Diddy trial, no lie. They talked about
Wow.
all here. The systemic failures, the role of the systemic failures that we have, and domestic violence by strangulation. A lot of people don't think about that, but that is one of the worst forms of domestic violence there is. If somebody choking you, baby, that's attempted murder. That's
Yes.
attempted
Yes, it
murder.
is.
So, I mean, this book right here, um, it just kind of gives insight on. I'm talking about in-depth insight. In fact, my book's so thick, it's thicker than this little book right here. This book is a little bit thinner than that book. But this book, I wrote from the Diddy trial. I wrote from everything that they talked about. A lady named Tisa Tales, that's her name. She's a podcast on YouTube, and I watched her. She was at the Diddy trial almost the entire time, and I watched her and Make It Make Sense, the guy from Make It Make Sense. He's another podcaster. And I watched it from those two perspectives. And I watched Dibble Dabble, but I wrote down so much that this book has so much information in it. So I'm not going to, I just wanted to share this because I'm not tooting my own horn. I am just telling you that these two books are needed in every person's home. So if you don't want to get a signed copy and you don't care how you get it, go online and pick both of these up on Amazon.com. I also have The Freckle Fairy, A Magical Lesson in Loving Yourself. That's a child's book. I have freckles. I cover them most times. Insecurities and things that we deal with in our lives would also make us very very inward and allow people to do things to us because we're insecure within ourselves. And I was insecure within myself. So that's a book. And then I Danced My Way Through Death, A Grief Journey. And that was a book, a workbook, and a journal. And we talk about
Yes.
grief and leaving situations as such as your marriage. And I'm going to say this and get off. Um, People ask you why you stay because I love him and I'm genuine because my love for him was real. That's why I stayed. So when I left, I grieved. I grieved because I
Yes.
loved him almost more than I loved myself. And I
Come
had to
on.
realize be by myself and I was never going to be with him again. And I had to grieve all that stuff. And so that
Yes.
book talks about grief and just the journey afterwards of losing other people after my losing my marriage and my military career, and then losing my ex-husband to a fentanyl overdose, and then losing my mom right after it, and then fighting for my life right after that, and my kids having to not only grieve my husband's death or my ex-husband's death and my mother's death, but then they had to grieve me being sick and couldn't take care of my own self, and they had to take care of me. And my daughter had to grieve the fact that she had to leave Houston to come take care of her mother that's in Baton Rouge and stop her whole life. And so life just happened. But God
Yes.
is a rewarding God, that He did in the midst of the storm and the chaos. He gave me books that I could write to tell people about my story, because I'm not here for myself. I'm here for somebody else. All I could tell you is that I was a 24-year victim. I did the 10 years surviving in my mind, trying to figure me out, trying to figure out where I go to next. And it took 10 years of that. And then 8 years now, I've been on a journey of self-love, finding out who I am, what I like, what my dislikes are. All of these things that are coming together for my good, to be the purposed person that God has called and purposed me to be. That's who I am today. That's why it made me. Some people didn't get out. Some people will never make it out. Some people will stay in it. Some people will die in it. But I thank God that I'm still standing and I live to tell.
Yes. I know that's right. Woo! I mean, you have a lot of information that people need. You have a lot of information that people need. I love the Forbidden Love 1 and 2. And I'm
Yeah.
definitely interested in 2, because that trial had me in a chokehold as well. There was a lot going on.
Number two,
A lot going on.
girl,
But I
number
thank you so much for this
we
conversation. I feel like we
yes.
definitely have to do this again. I want to come back and talk about how we, I don't know how to put, how to word it, but what I want to talk about is how everything looked different when you was young. And then when you get older, you see how things really is.
Almost,
I want to talk about that, to try to say it again. I didn't hear you.
I said, almost like you have to step outside of yourself.
Yes. And so that we can perhaps help some of the young women, because when you're young, things look a certain way and you think and believe things are a certain way. But when you get older, you realize, oh, it never was that. I thought it was that, and it never was that.
You're right.
So I would love for us to come on again and talk about that, because that is that's a big deal.
That is a big deal. That is a big, big deal. And I appreciate you having me on. Girl, look, I had forgot, and then I thought about it. It's like, oh my God, I got to get up from here, and I had to cook and everything else, and I thought I was going to be running late, but everything fell into place, and I appreciate you having me on your platform, and I can't wait to come back again and let's talk, girl. We could chop it up on a lot of subjects, because me and you both been through so much hell that we don't have to
Yes.
domestic violence. We could talk about a whole bunch of stuff.
Yes, just life. We can just talk about life in general.
Yes, because it
Yes,
keeps
yes, yes.
my
So
grandma used
thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Coach Elissa B. I appreciate you. You guys tune in next time. We're gonna be doing a lot more live streams, and hey, we you don't know where we're gonna end up or show up. So just stay tuned.
thank you.